is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah! Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Tuesday, October 6th, 2020, Season 16, Episode number 38. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We got 45 minutes, and we're going to make the most of it today. We got a lot to talk about. There was a lot of talk that we heard yesterday from the head coach and the coordinators that we're going to get into. There were some interesting things that they said. And then, as promised by Amber yesterday, we're going to fix this thing. We've got some. I got some questions for these guys on how the Cowboys fix what's happening right now with their team sitting at 1-3, and then we'll finish off the show. Maybe if we have enough time, we'll get into a little NFC East talk. Not a lot going on there, but we'll talk about it a little bit.
Everyone sucks right now. I mean, like. That's easy to
segment done. So we don't have to worry about that one.
No one looks really good, but somebody has to win it.
Well, awesome. So by the end of the show, I'm going to ask you guys who's the best one in this NFC East, which is probably a hard question to answer right now. But we'll do that toward the end of the show. All right, so let's first jump in. Mike McCarthy yesterday, he has his press conference with the media, and the first thing that he said that stuck out to me was regarding, it was a question about the problems that they're experiencing right now. And his quote was, if I was going to rank them number one, our turnover ratio is our biggest negative after 4 games. Currently, they're sitting at -7 turnover ratio. Is that their biggest problem? Nick, let's start with you.
I think it is. I do. I mean, because that's what leads to more possessions. That's what takes the offense off the field. And I mean, think about when you turn the ball over and the other team scores when you could have scored. That's a 10 to 14 point turnaround in every game that they've played. Just one turnover, a turnaround like that could have affect the game. So yeah, without a doubt, I think it is the biggest problem that they have.
Amber.
I get Nick's point in logic, and it makes perfect sense, but I would say that's not their biggest problem. I think that looking at the team overall, I would just lean towards the issues that the defense is struggling with currently, because turnovers, to me, even though they keep struggling with it week after week, I feel like that's something that has an easier or faster solution. That's something that you can fix faster, in my opinion, versus what's happening on the defense. That I just see that at such a bigger scale, and it's depending on who they're going to be facing later on through the year. I think that's going to come down to what your defense is unable to do.
Dave.
It's kind of like car problems, right? Like, your car's not running the way you want it to. I mean, and like, it would be great if you could take the engine out and just do the whole thing over again, go in there and really revamp it, or you can just like turn off the parking brake, and that's not gonna, it's not gonna fix everything, but you'd probably be a lot better off. My point is to say the defense is just, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done there. It is the team's biggest problem. But you can help a lot by just holding on to the ball. Like, it is the problem that can be fixed the easiest and would go a long way toward making the defense, or at least helping the defense. So I agree with Nick, because I think fixing the turnover problem is something you can actually do. I just don't trust that there's a lot you can do to make this defense significantly better right now.
So I'm going to challenge you guys. How do you do it? Like, that's the hard part. Yeah, we all know it's a big problem. We all know it needs to be fixed. What do you think is their best route to try to fix it?
To get more turnovers or
get more, or I mean, that could be a part of the solution. Hey, if you get more turnovers, then giving more turnovers maybe isn't as big of a problem, right?
I mean, the offense doesn't need to score. I mean, they're scoring enough points. I mean, generally.
Yes.
Now,
right.
they're not to be 1-3. You need more points, but I mean, we enough football games to know you average 31.5 points a game. You should be winning. You should be winning big.
Yes.
So do they need to be as wide open? Do they need to help more with the offensive line? Do they need a little bit more max protect because they've got 2 or 3 receivers, 3 receivers that can get open? Maybe they need more of that. Maybe you need your running backs to stay home. Maybe your tight ends need to stay home a little bit more and protect the quarterback more, because that's typically where the turnovers are coming from is the pressure. And then on the flip side, maybe they need to add more pressure. They don't really blitz a lot. Maybe they should start doing that a little bit more. I don't know.
What do you think, Amber? How do they fix this?
Just
the problems with the turnovers.
With the turnovers, establish the run when you first of all figure out who your offensive linemen are gonna be and make that be it for the rest of the year, unless there is another injury, of course, then you have to readjust. But go in knowing, okay, these are my starting 5 and this is what it is. Don't do the whole steal thing again. Okay, once that's settled, hopefully you're able to establish the run. I think that the Cowboys, yes, Dak is throwing the ball really good. The receivers are doing a good job once they're able to get the ball going and connecting and all that. But I think you need to establish the run first, because that's going to just help your defense. Just allow the defense to be less on the field as much as you can. So just try to score points, but utilizing your running back, Zeke, that I know he's has his own struggles, but we've seen him do it, so I do have confidence in what he can do in the running game still.
Dave, how do you solve the turnover problem?
Isn't the running game the primary culprit in the turnover problem right now?
Big part.
I mean, Zeke has fumbled 3 times this season, and he's lost 2 of them. Overall, I don't disagree with the point. Amber took the words right out of my mouth, honestly, is my primary hope for fixing the turnover issue is continuity on the offensive line. Tyron is back in the lineup. Hopefully he stays there. Tyler Biadasz has played 130 snaps through these last 2 games, and he's played well. So hopefully that can help the interior. And hopefully the coaches are, what's the word I'm looking for, humble enough to admit that they were wrong about this right tackle thing. Hopefully the way Brandon Knight has played when he's gotten in there has proven to them that he should be the guy, in my opinion. And hopefully they can go forward with these 5 and have that clean things up a little bit. To be clear, when I said fix the turnover issue, I simply meant on offense. Like, defense, prove it to me that you can get takeaways. I don't know how you fix that without getting better players, honestly, because this is a 4-year stretch where that's just been the case. So I can't bank on the defense getting me turnovers. I need the offense to clean it up. I think continuity on the offensive line would go a long way toward helping with that.
What do we think the offensive line looks like? I mean, Looney's out for 2 to 4 weeks, but I'm not sure Biadasz wouldn't be the starter anyways, but they don't have to make that call right now. What are we thinking? Tyron, Connor, Biadasz, Zach, Knight?
I think that's what they're going to go with.
That's what I would do.
I think that's definitely what they're going to go with.
Yeah. I mean, unless they feel like Connor McGovern or somebody could play guard better than
Connor Williams?
Then no.
Oh.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, better than Connor Williams. But I'm saying maybe, they wanted Brandon Knight, I think, to be a guard anyways. Maybe he's a better guard and Zach Martin's a better right tackle.
Yeah. I think that's worth considering. All right, let's move on to one other thing.
Possible.
I did want to go ahead, Dave.
No, it's possible. I continue to think that they're going to do the thing that requires the least amount of movement. Like, I think they want as much continuity as possible, and just plugging Knight in at right tackle allows everybody else to stay where they are.
Yeah.
But sure, I mean, it's possible.
To Nick's point about
one thing.
Go ahead, Amber.
I was going to say, one thing that at least they've proven is that they're not afraid to just shuffle people around. So you can look that as a positive as to, okay, maybe they will be willing to just kind of shuffle people around and make some changes. Now, hopefully that's not something that just happens during the middle of the game, but rather something that you plan throughout the week and kind of go that route and stick to it.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Amber, because I don't think that's something we've been used to seeing around here is in the middle of games, them making a decision.
Yeah.
And by the way, just as I'm giving them credit for that, I'm also going to say they probably should have made that distinction before the game. I think Dave made the point yesterday. If they were so willing to, as soon as they made a mistake, rip them out and put the other guy in, then they probably knew that was a problem going into the game. They probably should have gone in that way, is the way I look at it.
Right, but one of the complaints people always say, it's like, the coach needs to hold them accountable. They need to hold these guys accountable. Well, do what? I mean, bench them? Yeah, because that's what they do. I mean, there's no detention in the NFL. I mean, what do you do to these guys? I mean, they're not running laps. Maybe they do, but I'm just saying.
Maybe they should.
Maybe they should. I'm just saying, how do you hold a guy accountable? Well, you bench him in front of everybody, and that's kind of what they've done. They're not afraid to do that.
Yeah, I will make this point real quick before we move on to the next topic. Nick, you mentioned the number of points that they're scoring should have them in the winners column a lot more than they are. Think about this. I'm going to read for you the teams that are in the top 10 right now in scoring in the NFL and see if you see a pattern here. The Green Bay Packers number 1, Seattle Seahawks number 2, Dallas is number 3, Cleveland Browns number 4, Buffalo Bills number 5, New Orleans Saints number 6, Baltimore Ravens number 7, number 8 is Tampa Bay Buccaneers, number 9 Kansas City Chiefs, and number 10 Las Vegas Raiders. The interesting part about that in the top 10, I think that's probably most of the best teams in the league. Those are the teams I would guess right now the Super Bowl winner is going to come out of that group. It's amazing that the Cowboys I guess the point is, it is amazing that the Cowboys are scoring with those teams, yet their results are so much different. That tells you just how bad they're struggling on the defensive side of the ball right now, I think. All right, let's move on to the next topic. He was asked about Mike Nolan, and speaking of that defense, and his quote was, and we're talking about Mike McCarthy, his quote yesterday was, he's very high confidence in Mike Nolan. We're going to stay the course. My question for you guys is, do you agree that you need to stay the course here, or should they be looking at other options? Are there other options that they could consider at this point? Let's start first with you, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, fans are going to say stuff like that after a game like that. No, I don't feel like they need to make a move like that right now. The season hasn't gotten away from them, and again, this is a new coaching staff, a brand new slate coming in. The Texans fired Bill O'Brien yesterday. That's, first of all, they're winless. I know 1-3 and 0-4 is not a huge difference, but also Bill O'Brien has a laundry list of things that he's done wrong that led to that decision.
Over 7 years.
Whereas, absolutely. So this is a clean slate. Now, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility if things really go south and it looks like this team really won't be able to contend for a playoff spot. I don't remember who made the point, but George Edwards, a former longtime defensive coordinator, is already on this staff. So I don't want to say that it's impossible, especially if it really, like I said, if it really gets out of hand. But the division sucks. You're still in the mix, and this is a brand new staff. I never really thought that was a realistic thing to do after 4 games.
Amber.
By saying to stay the course, that's strictly talking about coaching specifically?
Yeah, he was saying it in regards to...
Does that
he said it in regards to the question about Mike Nolan. So my assumption is he's talking about we're going to stay the course with Mike Nolan.
Right.
Specifically, okay, yeah. I didn't know if that meant we're just gonna stay with what we kind of have right now, including players. But okay, when you talk about coaching specifically, I think yes, it's a little unfair to kind of rush that quickly after 4 games when it's a new coaching staff and you got guys just kind of trying to connect everything together and build off something new, basically. But at the same time, there has to be some kind of shaking up. I don't know what that would mean behind doors. I don't know what you tell or how they communicate certain things, but I would be saying some explicit words in those meetings and being like, okay, you need to kind of step it up, because even though we're new at this here in Dallas, we're not going to wait until the end of the season. I think that there is a certain point where, I don't know. Honestly, here's what I'm struggling with. I'm just tired of waiting year after year after year. So my patience right now is very low. So I'm at a point where, yes, I have to consider he's new here in Dallas, but at the same time, just in Dallas overall period, I'm just tired of excuses and waiting. So I don't know what to tell you.
She just summed it up for so many fans out there listening right now. Nick, what do you think?
It's frustrating because I'm sitting over here with you, and like this is our 22nd year of doing this, and I think, I don't know, Amber, 5 or 6 maybe, 6 years.
Yeah, she's tired.
And it's like we should be out.
I don't know how you guys have handled this for so long, honestly.
2001.
Oh, yeah.
2002.
It can get worse, guys, by the way. It can get worse.
3 straight years of
Trust
5
me,
and
it
11.
can get worse.
But anyways, I think she's right on that. You better do something. I mean, stay the course might have been the answer to the personnel move. And I agree with that because, you know, this has been a different year. I think for everybody, they should have a little bit more patience with all coaches, all sports, all jobs, really. I mean, this is just different. You don't judge what you just see right here. Now, you got to get this thing fixed quickly. So they talked about multiple schemes they could play. That's what we love about this thing. We can do different things. Well, maybe you shouldn't. All right? Maybe you stick to 1 or 2 things that you really do well.
Yeah.
This whole, wide open stuff, nobody's, figuring it out.
It's not working. Yeah.
Maybe they're not a 3-4 team, at all. Maybe they're 4-3. Maybe whatever they need to do to just, hone in on a couple of things that they do well. And if that means simplifying it, oh well, because it's pretty, what are they averaging of points against them? 38, 40? Yeah. I don't even know.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, there's this word that kept coming up yesterday that I want to talk about, and this word is effort. And I want to see what you guys think about this word effort and how it relates to this team. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
It's funny. As we travel places, often we find the places we want to travel aren't really places at all. They're people. They're grandparents, moms, old friends, and new nephews. That's why at American Airlines, we've been using enhanced cleaning measures so you can feel confident every step until you get to them. So as always, our people can't wait to take you to yours. American Airlines. You are why we fly.
Back to the break.
Tour AT&T Stadium, the home of the Dallas Cowboys. Run on the field. See the locker rooms and so much more at AT&T Stadium Tours presented by SeatGeek. They're available daily. Visit AT&TStadium.com for details.
Well, you can tell what happens on Sunday by the way our show goes on Tuesday.
The Browns had a tour. They ran all over the place.
Jeez.
They just said run on the field.
I was going to call Nick the implier, but then he just came out and gave the joke away.
Right,
so
he was not implying there. It was very
I gotta work
and to the point.
I gotta work with Bucky more. You know what I mean? I try to joke with Bucky, and it just doesn't.
He doesn't get it all the time. I don't know. He doesn't know your personality.
When he comes on, I want to tell him. I'm like, Bucky, can we get a bigger microphone for you? Have you seen that microphone?
Yeah, he's got a big microphone.
Yeah, I was like, but whatever.
Well, here's what we're doing. We're going through some of the comments that the coaches made yesterday. They had their time with media. And there was a comment, and actually I'm going to get into two different things. There was first a comment from Coach McCarthy that I want to talk about now, and then we'll get into a comment that Coach Nolan made after that. But basically when he was talking, he was asked about the effort of the team, Coach McCarthy was, and he said that he doesn't really see effort as a problem. And he would caution others to be careful when questioning the effort of professional athletes from the outside. So my question for you guys is, and I assume most of you, obviously we all watched the game live. I assume most of us have gone back and rewatched it. What is your thought with regards to the effort, particularly of the defense in that game? Do you think it's an issue of effort, or do you think it's an issue of skill? Let's start first with you, Amber.
Certain positions, yeah, with certain players, there is a lack of skill and just being at that level that you would want them to be, and like a lack of experience as well. But when you talk about the word effort, which has been going around all over the place on social media and many media outlets out there, I always tend to be really careful as well, because you never know exactly what a person is physically dealing with, to where maybe that is their maximum effort and it's just not being to the level that you personally want them to be at. But when you look at the defense overall and just watch the game, there's just fire missing just overall. It's just unusual. Even when they miss a tackle, when they get up, it's like the whole like shoulders going like this, like I missed that. There's not like I'm lacking that passion, that anger, that like, man, I'm pissed off right now. I'm gonna get back up. I'm gonna go back and do this better. It's just, so I guess you could call that tied in with effort, but rather than effort, I would use a lack of fire, a lack of just that competitiveness that you usually see within football players.
All right, Dave.
I'll very candidly, yeah, I've learned that lesson the hard way doing this job. Is it's easy to forget that the worst player in the NFL works really, really hard 12 months out of the year to be able to do this job. And on top of that, they're all playing with some sort of pain bothering them, and they all are playing with the knowledge that the next rep could end their career and significantly change their life. So I always try to be very careful not to say that somebody's not trying. And for the most part, I think that's fair, looking back at that tape. What it brings me back around to is Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones have both said in the last 24 hours that players have to trust the scheme and not revert back to the old way of doing things when things go wrong. And the reason I bring that up is in the sense that, like, there were 11 guys on the field running hard for most of that game, sure, but it was completely uncoordinated and not working together the way that a successful defense does. So it's cool that you sprinted, but if you're not hitting your assignment and doing what you're supposed to do, it looks terrible. So individual effort is great, but there's got to be more of a concerted effort to work together, or we're going to see more of that as the season goes along, if I had to guess.
Nick.
Yeah, and I think you know where I'm going with this. We talk about this a lot. I've made this point. I mean, effort is you can go to any YMCA at 10 o'clock in the morning and watch a pickup game of old men playing basketball and see that they get into it. They care. They want to. There's pride on the line there. So effort is always there on the field. I think. I really believe effort is there 99% of the time. But is effort there on Wednesday night when you're going home and you have your iPad and you could watch the Browns, a couple more plays of them, you could figure things out, you could see the tackle that you're facing and the tendencies and all that kind of stuff? I think Sean Lee does that. I think he's probably the best that's ever done it. is the effort there to prepare, like Dave's talking about? Is that effort there? Because, yeah, Jalen Smith is going to be running all the way down the field to try to tackle Odell Beckham. He can't get him, but he's going to try his best. They're all going to do the effort. But are they really putting in the effort to prepare like you're supposed to, especially in this weird year of pandemic where you didn't have the same installation issues or installation time and OTAs and all that? You got to be extra prepared. That's effort. And I don't know if a lot of players in the league, not just the Cowboys, I'm just saying that's where I think teams can lose sometimes when they say we give up, they quit. They didn't quit when it comes to playing, when the lights came on. They quit when the preparation time was.
Yeah, I'll actually throw out a different word that I think applies here, and I think it's unsure. I think you've seen people like Troy Aikman and our own Bucky Brooks, Emmanuel Acho, they all have put out different statements saying, hey, effort is a problem with this team. These guys are not going all in. What I think I'm seeing is not necessarily them not going all in. I think what I'm seeing is that they're unsure. I don't think, and it goes back to scheme, it goes back to everybody understanding their role, everybody understanding their job, and everybody being willing to do their job. I think that's probably more what you're seeing, because I agree with you, Nick. I don't think professional athletes loaf. That's a way to get hurt in the NFL.
Yes.
But I do think that when you're unsure, you're probably a little more pensive. You're probably a little more like, I don't know if I should go here. Maybe I should do something a little different. And that puts you a step behind, and that makes you slow to react, and it makes you slow to get to the point. And so it looks like you're kind of just playing slow. But you're not playing slow because of lack of effort. You're playing slow because you're unsure, in my opinion. And I think that's what's happening a lot with this defense right now.
Parcells had a sign in the locker room that said exactly what you just said. Knowledge is confidence, and confidence lets you play fast. And that's probably what you're saying. They don't have that knowledge. Right. It's not giving them confidence, and therefore they're unsure in what they're doing.
Yep. And I think that's probably a bigger issue for this defense right now than just saying they don't have the effort that they need. But let's go on with that same topic. Mike Nolan, he was asked. Go ahead, Amber.
I was just gonna ask. Okay, so let's say we assume that's the case. Then, do you put that more on the players themselves, just not taking the extra time, going home and studying and doing what they need to do, or does that fall more onto, again, the coaching staff, and then maybe not necessarily teaching the things that they need to be teaching them?
I think if I had to guess, I would say it's probably a little bit of both. I think in one instance, as Nick said earlier, you got a very, very unique set of circumstances this year. I think it's probably unrealistic for a coaching staff to come in and say, hey, guys, we're about to do all this new exotic stuff, but we're not going to have as much practice time. Like, I think that maybe they need to step back a little bit. And by the way, we always talk about it like football is rocket science. It's really not. Like, it's not really rocket science. But if you've got, let's say, for example, in one instance, you've got one read and you react to that one read and do something, as opposed to another situation where maybe you've got three different things you need to key on, and that's when you can make your move. It's going to take you longer to process, and it's going to take you time of doing that repeatedly to get the muscle memory to know, bam, 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 these three things happen, so I'm doing this, right? And so I think that when you're talking about them adjusting to this new scheme and the complexity of it, I don't know, again, what all those keys are that they're giving these guys. It does appear to me that they have a lot more to think about, because I do think they're playing slow. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's partially on the coaches. They may need to simplify this thing a little bit. And I do think it's partially on the players. They're going to have to pick it up a little faster. These are unique times, so it requires them to be better than they would have been otherwise. So they got to step up. They got to be even more intent on studying even harder and really being able to focus in, because the muscle memory just isn't there yet. They have not had enough reps for the muscle memory to be there yet. What do you guys think? I guess you all agree.
It just left me wondering. I was thinking of what other teams around the NFL are going through a similar situation. Well, specifically talking about the defense, do they have a new defensive coordinator, and how are their defenses performing given the circumstances that we've all had to live this year with no preseason games, shorter off-season practices and things like that. So you guys would know a lot better than me as far as to opposing teams and if they're facing similar struggles as the Cowboys are right now.
I saw someone tweet the other day about that.
I understand all of that.
No, go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
I I'm gonna steal Amber's line. Like, I'm tired of hearing about how they didn't have a preseason or any of that stuff because nobody else did either. I think the Patriots had half of their defense opt out, and this isn't happening to them. So I get it. It's tough, and it's adverse circumstances. I do agree. The reason I sort of blanked back there is because it's such a chicken or the egg. I mean, it's hard to know that. But again, if members of the front office are saying they need the players to trust the scheme, then I assume that means the players aren't buying into what the coaches are selling. So the players either need to pick that up, or if this keeps up, the coaches need to be willing to say, all right, we're going to pare this down because what we want y'all to do just isn't working, and we need to adapt on the fly.
Right.
It's got to be one of those two, like a better buy-in by the players or the coaches being willing to say, let's put this on the shelf until we can actually have an offseason and a training camp.
Yep, and I agree with you, Dave. I don't think, and all that I said was not for the purposes of giving excuses as much as it was to say sometimes the coaches have to know my players are trying as hard as they can, and for whatever reason it's not working. So maybe I need to change my strategy, which means I may need to scale things back in order to give them the best opportunity to succeed, right? All right, let's go on to the next topic. Mike Nolan. Actually, let's take our final break. When we come back, I do want to talk about Mike Nolan. He had some interesting things to say about Jalen Smith, and we talked about him yesterday on the show. I want to hear what Coach Nolan had to say, and then we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Ah, music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Back to the break.
Get the ultimate fan experience for the ultimate Cowboys fan. Join Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, starting at just $20. Visit DallasCowboys.com/United.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're talking about a lot of things that the coaches had to say yesterday. We've been talking about this word effort, and Coach Nolan was speaking about Jalen Smith yesterday, and his quote was, I think he's doing all the things we're asking of him, or at least trying to do them, and went on to say that he doesn't understand all of the criticism that Jalen seems to get. My personal opinion is part of this because a lot of that criticism comes from the contract as well. There are heightened expectations with that amount of money. But that all being said, he also went on to talk about how they grade defenders particularly in 3 categories. It's either a winning effort, a losing effort, or you just did your job. And he said that he doesn't think Jalen has had a losing effort in either of the 4 games. He said he's did his job or a little bit better every week. So understanding, and I understand that coaches will always or most often will defend their players publicly, but do you think that the quote that he said, he's doing all the things we're asking him to do, and here's the important part, or at least trying to do them, signals that he's happy with his effort and not necessarily the results. Nick, let's start with you.
Man, there's a lot to digest there. I mean, I still keep going back to I don't like the grading system. That's just it. Just 3 grades. I mean, it's not. Football is a little bit more complex than that. I think that like you did your job, or what is it?
Winning effort, losing effort, or did your job. So basically, the way I look at that is, if you want to make it simple, it is you were really good, you just passed, or you were bad. Like those are the 3 options. And basically, he just passed, or maybe a little bit better. Every week is the way I take that.
I'm not with you guys as much on the Jalen Smith, like saying he's awful, he's terrible. Like I don't. I mean, I'm not saying you guys are saying that. You can say it if you want to, but I'm not as on that train as much as everyone else. Mainly because I look behind him and I'm like, I don't see anybody better than that. But I don't think anybody on the defense has played well, and it starts in the middle. That's usually where this whole thing starts, and he hasn't played great. He hasn't been that dynamic player that we wanted him to be. We thought he was going to be a couple years ago. And he makes a lot of money, and so therefore he's going to get the target, just like the other guy that makes a lot of money that hasn't done anything.
Amber.
I get why Mike Nolan has to speak that way. I get it, but at the same time, it makes me wonder, like, do they give these grades based on, like, comparison to everyone else on defense, or strictly and specifically to the player without trying to evaluate everyone else on defense? Because to me, yes, Jalen might be doing the better job as opposed to everyone else on defense, but the bar is just set so low right now. Like, he's not, to me, he has had better seasons, better years where he's played better, and maybe because I've seen certain games, the level that he can play at, when I compare that to where he's at right now, it's just very different. So I just see it as like, I don't like the grading system. I just think the expectation, the evaluation right now is just very low because of the way that the defense is performing overall.
Dave.
I gained a lot of respect for Mike Nolan yesterday, if you want me to be honest with you, because I thought he showed that he's willing to jump on a grenade, is basically what he did, in my opinion, because I can't bring myself to believe that he actually means most of that. And it's not to dog on Jalen unnecessarily, but he's getting it from every angle. The media is on him, the fans are on him so bad. Like, don't search Jalen's name on Twitter. It's bad. And so, like, the coach can't do that. Like, he's a talented player. If the defense is going to be better, he's going to need to be part of it. So if Mike Nolan comes out and jumps on top of him too, you run the risk of him checking out or him getting pissed off. So I admire that Mike Nolan was willing to do it, but some of the stuff that he said at face value, again, I get why he said it, but I mean, come on. I mean, $12 million a year, we give him a did his job or slightly better grade all 4 weeks, and that's good enough? It's not. There's no way. And salary is a big part of it. Nobody's mad at Joe Thomas because Joe Thomas signed a 1-year, $1 million deal to come in and be the 4th guy. He is playing up to the standard that you expected of him. Jalen Smith is on a $68 million extension and is not playing like it. If you are making that much money, you should be able to lift the lesser components of this defense, or at least in theory. So to say that did your job is good enough, or, well, he's not making the plays, but he's trying on all of them, also not good enough. It's just not. And, like, again, I don't say that to be a jerk to Jalen Smith. He's always been a very nice guy, and he's got a great story. Like, everybody wants him to succeed, but you got to call it what it is. A guy making that much money trying or doing his job, like, that's not good enough for the money that's involved. It just is what it is.
Yeah, when you look at it, I think the thing is on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, you got to have a lot of players that do their job, right? But in order to be successful, you're going to have a few guys on both sides of the ball that can play above that, right? And if you don't have, if Dak doesn't play above that, this team has no shot. If Zeke or Amari don't play above that, this team has no shot. Everybody can't just do their job, because in this NFL, playmakers are how you actually win games. You need those guys that are extraordinary. You've never seen a team with no extraordinary players win anything, right? So you got to have some guys that do it. And so when you pay him that $12 million a year contract, the expectation is you're paying him that because you expect him to be one of those players.
Yeah.
So this does not in any way mean that Jalen Smith is not doing his job. The question is Jalen Smith doing the job he's being paid for? Not the job that you're just saying, well, this is his assignment.
Right.
He's being paid to be one of those extraordinary guys, and right now he's just not giving that to this team.
Yeah. I mean, because you're right. I guess
Go ahead, Dave.
Sorry. I didn't even listen to what y'all told me to do. I'm sorry. I was just going to make the point that if all Dak Prescott was doing through 1 month of the season was doing his job, it would be the only thing that all of the talking head shows would be talking about whether or not he's trash, what the Cowboys are going to do next, is he worth that kind of money? But he's not. He's playing like a badass because that is what the franchise tag requires of him. And the same goes for a lot of the other guys that are on big contracts. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I mean, it is what it is. Like, that goes with the territory of having a paycheck for $800,000 hit your bank account every Tuesday. Is that you are held to a very high standard, and the season's probably not going to be very fun for you if you don't live up to it.
Yeah, because I think that Derek, you guys are both making the same point about you might be doing your job, but you know, what's asked of you? Like, are you really doing worth the contract? Is your contract, should you be having a different job? Think about Zach Martin. Is Zach Martin doing his job? Yeah. He's meeting expectations. Is he above expectations? Not really, because our expectations of him is to be an All-Pro. So I don't think his agent's going to be calling the Cowboys saying, I need to get a raise, because he's meeting his expectations. So I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing to say he's doing his job, because his job is to be the best guard in football, and he's doing it. But what's Jalen Smith's job? Is it to be the captain, the leader of this defense? I think that's his job, and he's not doing that. So I don't think he really is. I don't think that it's fair for them to say he's doing his job. And really, and I'll ask Dave and Amber this too, because they know the media people that are in Dallas and even national media. If Mike Nolan said, you know, Jalen Smith is like anybody on this defense, he could play better. He knows it. We've talked about it. He knows he could play better. He told me he could play better. So we know that. We got to get him in a situation where he can do better.
There you go.
And you can say it that way, and therefore then no one's saying, well, man, he's really throwing him under the bus. If Jalen knows he can play better, and everyone knows that, then it's our job to get him to play better.
So then the question becomes, can he really play better? Because one thing I heard from, and Jerry was talking on the Fan this morning, talking about Jalen, and the word that he used, I want to say it was heroic, or it was more around the idea. Courageous. That's what it was. Courageous. That's how he defined his play. And again, all these words are painting the picture in my mind. Effort, courageous. What they're saying to me, as just a personal person that's just listening to this, is Jalen is doing the very best he can. With what's been presented to him and the condition that he's in, he's doing the very best. He's giving us everything he possibly has. He leaves every game with nothing left to give. Then the question becomes, is that good enough? See, I don't think they believe that he's dogging it. I don't think they believe he's not playing up to his potential. I think they believe he's giving them everything he's got. And that's when I start to question, okay, well, if that's everything he's got, is that good enough? Because right now, I can't see an appreciable difference between him at $12 million and Joe Thomas at $1 million. So how do you rectify that according to your salary cap at the end of the day? Why are you laughing?
I don't know who sings it. It's an old 80s song, James Ingram maybe. He's like, I did my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough. Yeah, I don't know who sings that. Is it Ingram?
It might be James Ingram.
Okay, sorry guys.
Dave.
I mean, I said it all offseason. Like, I think Jalen Smith, like, he needs to be blitzing more. If you can try to use him as a rusher, like, I think there is a role there. He needs to be moving toward the quarterback, and again, this is not really something that you can fix right now. At least I don't think so. Is like, you need bigger, better defensive tackles that can keep blockers off of him, because shedding blocks, in my opinion, is his biggest problem. Like, he cannot get a blocker off of him, and you wind up seeing him lunging at guys while a guard pushes him out of the way. If you can free him up to where all he's got to worry about is hitting the guy, I think he could probably be pretty good, but we just haven't seen that in a couple of years. And I think some of that is the play of the guys in front of him. But, so yeah, he's either got to get better at shedding blocks, or they've got to get linemen who can keep those blockers from getting to him, one or the other.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I do also think that maybe some of that is about the fact that they expected Leighton Vander Esch to be playing the role of the middle linebacker and him to be playing weak side linebacker, which may have freed him up to do a little bit more of those things. And right now, again, going back to that, he's giving the best effort he possibly can, and them saying he's playing courageously, maybe that's about the fact that he's making the best of what he wasn't really supposed to be doing, right? And they're giving him a little bit of deference, knowing that that wasn't what his role was supposed to be in this defense, but he's doing the very best he can do under those circumstances. And I can get with that. I understand that. You get things thrown at you, you got to adjust, you got to do your best. That's not the best fit for him, but that's what he has to do right now. So I can kind of understand that. Did you have something you were going to say, Amber?
I just see it as like the Cowboys are in this position. They knew this could happen. That's how I see it. You knew this could happen. You knew Sean Lee, what he struggles with every year. You knew the possibility of him not being able to participate in one way or another this season. Then you get Sean Lee out. Okay, that happened. You knew Leighton Vander Esch was dealing with a whole neck issue. That's always a possibility as well. Obviously, it happened again. He's out. You knew Jalen Smith, last year he had great moments, but at the same time, to me, based on what I can remember right now, he wasn't necessarily being the best that I think he could be. There were things that he was still lacking in as far as his game and his ability on the field, and yet you decide to go ahead and extend his contract. So when you look at the group of linebackers, you come down hoping that you can really rely everything on Jalen Smith, given the fact of all the other guys and their injuries and things like that. So you're in this situation, and if that's the best that he can do, then you should have known that. Like, this should not be a surprise. You should have known better, and you should not have been in this situation to begin with, because you had time to kind of prepare and be aware of certain things. Yeah, you brought in a few linebackers, and it hasn't necessarily worked out the way. You can't expect every single position to have a great depth and talent, but at the same time, it's just like, this should not be a full surprise to anyone. They should have prepared better and know that this could have been a possibility of happening.
Yeah, I will say this. Going into the season, I thought this was going to be a position of strength for them, because if you got Joe Thomas as your fourth best linebacker, you feel really good about that. But you make some great points there, Amber, because all those top three guys had question marks coming in. And although I think they all can be at their very best really, really good linebackers, I don't know that you could necessarily rely on either of the three of them, and we've seen that kind of play out here.
It's very, and I know we got to go, but you can take it back to the draft. It's funny because they talked to Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma, they talked to Patrick Queen from LSU, who's leading the league in tackles among rookies right now, by the way. And the thought process, and I'll own it, and I still feel fine about it. I said, I understand that is something you need to look at, but between the four that you have, you got to hope that they can give you enough, or that the coaches can help them give you enough, because this team has too many other needs to be drafting a linebacker. And lo and behold, it's basically a worst-case scenario between not getting what you need from Jalen and not having Leighton or Sean. And it makes you wonder what the future of that position looks like, because I don't think you can afford to ignore it in 2021. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Dave. I'll give you guys one more gut punch here before we end the show. You mentioned those young linebackers that they talked to. Right now, according to Pro Football Focus, which, again, we always put in context, but they are grading everybody on the same curve. Right now, Jalen is ranked somewhere in the 50s as far as linebackers in the NFL. Number 1, Miles Jack, the guy that the Cowboys opted to go with Jalen Smith over Miles Jack. So take that for whatever.
Why'd you do that?
Take that for whatever you want it to be. But that's the other gut punch right now, I think, for a lot of Cowboys fans is they're looking at that kind of stuff, and they're looking at really what they thought Jalen could become and really what he was in 2018. And I think people are just feeling like there's a lot missing from where they thought he was going after that 2018 season. All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We're back tomorrow. We're going to have Bucky Brooks join us. We're going to start looking forward to the New York Giants. That should be an interesting week. Cowboys will take on the Giants this Sunday. Bucky will tell us about the Giants offense versus the Dallas defense. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I am Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!